I'm Joe Alton, MD, also known as Dr. Bones of doomandbloom.net, where you'll find over 800 posts, videos, and podcasts on medical preparedness for any disaster. Together with my wife, Amy Alton, a nurse practitioner, we're the New York Times and Amazon best-selling authors of the Survival Medicine Handbook, now in its brand new 700-page third edition. Make sure you get a copy for your survival library. Also, the Zika virus handbook, you might want to know something about that, and other books, as well as much, much more. Well, summer is here, and the West is experiencing record high temperatures and a series of heat waves that are going to continue probably until fall. Even worse, the scorching temperatures are igniting scores of wildfires that are threatening communities throughout the region. Officials predicted a high-risk situation as the heat surpassed 100 degrees across much of Southern California, and of course, desert cities throughout Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico hit temperatures reaching the 120s. Wow, that is hot. These temperatures, remember, put the more than 3,000 firefighters in the area in danger of heat-related injury and illness, plus a lot of other people. The power grid's being tested by the millions of air conditioning units that are set on max cool, and we can expect to see some major issues if the electricity goes out and people have to fight the heat with hand fans. Now, you might not consider a heat wave to be a natural disaster, but it most certainly is. Heat waves can cause mass casualties. They did in Europe when tens of thousands died of exposure in a single year, and what I'm talking about is not in the Middle Ages. I'm talking about the year 2003. Of course, India, Pakistan, other undeveloped tropical countries experience thousands of heat-related deaths yearly, and there are already some recorded deaths in the American West. So how exactly does heat kill a person? Well, your body core regulates its temperature for optimal organ function. When core body temperature rises excessively, that's known as hyperthermia, damage occurs that leaks toxins from cells, causing them to become inflamed and die. These deaths can occur very quickly without intervention, even in those who are physically fit. Even in modern times, hyperthermia carries a 10% death rate, although it's mostly in the elderly and infirm. The ill effects due to overheating are called heat exhaustion if mild to moderate. If severe, these effects are referred to as heat stroke. Heat exhaustion usually doesn't result in permanent damage, but heat stroke can. Indeed, it can permanently disable or even kill its victim. It's a medical emergency that must be diagnosed and treated promptly. The risk of heat stroke correlates strongly to what we call the heat index. That's a measure of the effects of air temperature combined with high humidity. Above about 60% relative humidity, loss of heat by perspiration becomes impaired. That increases the chance of heat-related illness. Exposure to full sun on top of that increases the reported heat index by at least 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Simply having muscle cramps or a fainting spell may not necessarily signify a major heat-related medical event. You'll see heat cramps often in children that have been running around on a hot day. Getting them out of the sun, massaging the affected muscles, and getting them hydration is going to usually resolve the problem. In addition to muscle cramps and or fainting, though, heat exhaustion can occur and is characterized by confusion, rapid pulse, flushing, sweating, redness, headache, nausea and vomiting, and body core elevation up to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if no action is taken to cool the victim, heat stroke may ensue. Heat stroke, in addition to all the possible signs and symptoms of heat exhaustion I just mentioned, can manifest as loss of consciousness, seizures, or even bleeding, sometimes seen in the urine or even in the vomit. Breathing becomes very rapid and very shallow, and if not dealt with quickly, shock and organ malfunction may ensue, possibly leading to death. Now, in heat stroke, the skin is likely to be hot to the touch like heat exhaustion, but dry. Sweating might be absent. The body makes efforts to cool itself down until it hits a temperature of, let's say, 105, 106 degrees or so. At that point, thermoregulation breaks down, and the body's ability to use sweating as a natural temperature regulator fails. That causes a cascade that could lead to death. In heat stroke, the body core temperature can rise to 110 degrees Fahrenheit or more. When overheated patients are no longer able to cool themselves, it's up to their rescuers to do the job. If hyperthermia is suspected, the victim should immediately be removed from the heat source. For example, get them out of the sun. Remove their clothing, be drenched with cold water, even ice if possible. Have their legs elevated above the level of their heart. That's called the shock position. Be fanned or otherwise ventilated to help with heat evaporation. Have moist cold compresses placed in the neck, armpit, and groin areas. Now, why the neck, armpit, and groin? Major blood vessels pass close to the skin in these areas, and cold packs will more efficiently cool the body core if they're applied here. Oral rehydration is useful to replace fluids lost, but only if the patient is completely awake and alert. If your patient has altered mental status, as they may have in many cases, he or she might swallow the fluid into their airways. That causes damage to the lungs, puts you in worse shape than when you started. Heat stroke is preventable in many cases. The Arizona State Department of Health recommends, these guys should know what they're talking about, recommends the following. Drink at least 2 liters, about a half gallon of water per day if you're mostly indoors, and 1 to 2 additional liters for every hour of outdoor time. Drink before you feel thirsty and avoid alcohol and caffeine. Wear lightweight, loose, light-colored clothing and wear a sun hat or use an umbrella to deflect the sun's rays. Eat smaller, more frequent meals instead of large ones. Avoid strenuous activity in the midday at least, and stay indoors as much as you can. Now, take regular breaks if you have to exert yourself on warm days. In a heat wave, it's very important to check on the elderly, the very young, and the infirm on a regular basis and often. These people have more difficulty seeking help, and you might just save a life if you're vigilant. Know the warning signs and how to help those with hyperthermia. This is Joe Alton, MD, that old Dr. Bones, wishing you the best of health in good times or bad. Thanks for watching. Hey, Joe Alton, MD here.
And I'm Amy Alton, ARNP. Our focus is disaster, epidemics, and first aid preparedness.
We want you to know what to do in situations where medical help may not be available for the short term or even the long haul. One of the ways we offer this information is through our videos. If you like our videos, we hope you'll subscribe to this YouTube channel.
Besides YouTube, we have a lot of other ways you can connect with us. You can follow us on Twitter @PrepperShow. And no, you don't have to be a prepper to get useful information that just might keep your family safe in a disaster.
Besides our books, especially the new 3rd edition, 700 pages of the Survival Medicine Handbook, you'll find tons of articles, posts, and videos at our website at doomandbloom.net.
We have a presence on Facebook too. You can find our survival medicine group at Survival Medicine, Dr. Bones, Nurse Amy, plus our 2 pages, Doom and Bloom and Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy.
Don't forget our syndicated podcast, The Survival Medicine Hour at blogtalkradio.com, all about, you guessed it, disaster and epidemic medical strategies for times of trouble, as well as our current events podcast, American Survival Radio at gcnlive.com.
Plus our live video cast, the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays of each month at aroundthecabin.com.
Lastly, we've designed a board game called Doom and Bloom Survival that gets the whole gang to put down their smartphones, I hope, for a fun family game night that just incidentally has you make decisions that might help you one day in a real disaster. We thank the Prepared Family blog for naming our game the Teaching Preparedness Resource of the Week. You'll find the game at our website or at survivalboardgame.com.
Thanks for all your support. We can't tell you how much it means to us and our mission.
And that mission is to put a medically prepared person in every family for any disaster.
Thanks so much for watching.